This is disgusting. This is awful in every way. If I could kill it, I would. But I legally can't.
So, there's been something of a resurgence in Digimon World content at the moment, which I'm loving and would love to contribute more to. As such, this video is kind of like an addition to the Digimon World video that I made on the full playthrough. But instead, this will just be a quick addition, talking about how, even as a 25-year-old, I've come back to this game, and there are parts of it that still kind of give me the heebie-jeebies, you know? But like, in a good way. The atmosphere is really good, but almost like, I assume at least unintentionally, whether it be a mix of the background music or the old pre-rendered graphics, or maybe even level difficulty and worrying that I'm gonna get my Digimon killed. There's something about the areas I'm going to discuss that, I don't know, just give me the creeps. That said, I think a lot of the world actually has kind of a creepy feel, almost probably due to the story and how we're in a world post kind of almost an apocalypse. It's not really an apocalypse, but obviously a lot of the Digimon have lost their mind and we're kind of just wandering around as some of the only sane people. But I am going to be focusing on the more creepy areas, in my opinion anyway. As I say, this is going to be entirely my opinion. Feel free to disagree. In fact, actually, I encourage disagreement. I love the back and forth I had with a couple of you guys in the comments last time. But yeah, without any further ado, let's get into it. So first of all, this is the Overdell. The music you're hearing is the music from the background to the Overdell. I don't even know what an Overdell is, and I'm not going to Google it. In fact, yeah, I'll Google it. Give me 1 minute. Yeah, so I Googled it, and I still don't know what Overdell is. If someone knows what that is, feel free to let me know. But, yeah, so this is the Overdell. If we go through the spooky gate in the back, we end up in the Overdell Cemetery. However, this part, bro, I'm just trying to get through the Great Canyon. Like, I'm not saying that the soundtrack's bad, because it's actually kind of, like, fire in a weird way. However, it does not need to be this scary in this area. I remember as a kid, this music in particular haunted me. And for what? Like, this is just the same as the rest of the Great Canyon. Either way, we press on, we go into the cemetery, and what's that at the back? Oh yeah, a haunted mansion. And before you tell me that it's not haunted, spoiler alert by the way, a literal vampire lives there. It's his mansion, and his servants are ghosts. Like, that is a haunted mansion by definition. So we explore the mansion, and we find that most of the doors are locked. So the one door we can go through, we explore through there, find 3 ghosts wearing cool hats, admittedly. Fight them and we find a fridge that we can't open. This will be important later. We then find a key hidden in a fireplace for God knows why, and can now explore a bit. Skipping on ahead a bit, we end up going into the kind of roof area. Not roof, what do they call it? Like the rafters, I guess. And long story short, we fall through the floor, which, side note, I cut this out of the original playthrough because I didn't really have anything to say about it. But this is the second time our character has fallen from a great height that should have at least broke our legs. Like the other one, we literally fell off a massive cliff in the Great Canyon. We probably should have died. Side ran over, we end up in a different area that lets us explore the rest of the mansion. And on exploring, we find Myotismon, the vampire that lives here. And he's kind of like passed out, but manages to give us a key to his fridge and requests that we go get him some meat. Now, long story short, you go to the fridge. It has like a note in it that's quite cryptic. I had no idea what I was meant to do, so I was going to leave. And then when I left, the meat is on the floor. It's a steak, which I think is a vampire joke because you give a steak to the vampire. I assume that's the joke. Anyway, we do that, and it turns out it's actually quite wholesome in here because we share a meal with Myotismon, and he eventually agrees to come to the city, but later. And I think we have to do some other quests for him, but that's not important. Basically, all this to say, surprisingly wholesome quest. Why is this area so spooky? Like, I love it. The atmosphere is great, but it almost doesn't need to be this spooky, which is kind of the point of this video. But in a really cool way, outside of like the fear instilled in me as a kid, it just makes the game so much more interesting when it has this kind of atmosphere. Like, this mansion's straight up out of Resident Evil by the looks of it. Granted, instead instead of zombies, we've got vampires and ghosts, which, you know, I'd argue is at least as bad. The only good thing is there's no giant spiders in this mansion, because I don't think Dokugumon was a thing yet, and I'm thankful for that every day. Incidentally, this is probably the most obviously scary location, because it's a haunted mansion in a cemetery with spooky music. Also, it's full of ghosts. And yeah, I do think it is one of the more memorable areas in the game, because there's really just nothing else like it. Also, I'm pretty sure you fight Skull Greymon here later, which is probably the most metal and spookiest looking Digimon in the game, just as like an aside, I guess. Right, so just off the bat, just like a disclaimer, the Misty Trees that you'll see in this video are not actually as misty as they should be, which sounds really dumb, but as you can probably tell, I'm using the same save file that I did when I beat the game, and I'd already spoken to Cherrymon, who clears a lot of the mist for you. So despite the fact this is still the Misty Trees and there is still mist, just know normally when you come here it's mistier. Yeah, okay, we're gonna go with that. So, the Misty Trees, you can recruit a few Digimon here, most notably, off the top of my head, Garbumon, who helps out Dremogimon. But obviously, the most notable thing in the Misty Trees is the Misty Tree himself, Cherrymon, right? If you know anything about Digimon, you know this isn't what Cherrymon would go on to look like. And to be honest, I'm very glad about that, because he is actually terrifying in this game. Why does he look like that? I can only presume it's either an early design choice or graphical limitations, because this is a, over 2-decade-old game, so, you know, I'll try not to judge too harshly, but, like, surely when they made this, they had to know he was terrifying to look at, like, genuinely the stuff of nightmares. Cherrymon, as in the future of the franchise, like in the first season of Digimon, in Digimon Data Squad or whatever, cool mustache. I mean, like, yeah, he has, like, glowing yellow eyes, and he looks a bit menacing, but he never has the, like, I don't even know how to describe it, the crazed eyes, and I think his mouth is, like, stitched or stapled shut, and, like, 4 arms as well. To be fair, I think the original one also has multiple arms, but still, yeah, there's just something so unsettling about the way they designed Cherrymon. That said, outside of his design, he's actually just very friendly and kind of lore dumps on you about the state of the island and how kind of the rest of the story's unfolding. Like, he is the exposition guy. It's just a shame that he is, once again, disturbing to look at. Again, I think this area as well contributes to the whole thing I mentioned earlier about being afraid of my Digimon dying, because without, like, an ultimate Digimon, or at least a powerful champion, the, like, roaming Digimon in this area are gonna destroy your partner Digimon in a fight. I can recall discovering this as a kid, and the amount of times I had to run into a map, flee a battle, and try and maneuver around the enemy again, innumerable, because I was not winning that fight. But yeah, in short, the area is, you know, it's spooky, it's a dark forest, covered in mist, there's a goddamn tree monster in the middle of it, who looks just horrified, and the monsters all want to kill you. It is unsettling. Music, on the other hand, very cool. It's almost mysterious, and I like that. Like, it's nowhere near as ominous as the Overdell, but I do think it suits the area quite well in almost like, yeah, as I say, mysterious, I think is the main word I'd use, and it is quite appropriate, because as you discover the forest and speak to Cherrymon, more of the forest becomes visible to you, like uncovering a mystery. Also, on one screen, there's this really mysterious kind of group of, I want to say statues, but they could be bones. I'm not entirely sure. There's a Unimon and a Tyrannomon, I think. And it's really interesting because it's never explained what that actually is to my knowledge. It could be, I suppose. However, to my knowledge, it's just a background detail. And I've got to wonder, are they petrified? Is it a statue? Are they bones? It just adds to this kind of mysterious atmosphere and kind of spooky atmosphere. Not, again, as directly spooky as the Haunted Mansion, but still, you gotta wonder what happened to those Digimon if they were Digimon to begin with. On coming out of the other end of the Misty Trees, what would you expect to find? The last thing on my list would be Toy Town, an area basically comprised of, well, yeah, toys. Like, it almost looks like a soft play, and on its own that doesn't sound, you know, ominous or creepy like I've been describing. However, what makes it kinda spooky in my opinion is the fact that it's pretty much completely abandoned. There's not many Digimon here. Instead, there's like 3 rooms, one of which contains an empty Monzemon suit, which you can digivolve into if you come here with a Numemon. However, I don't know, it's just such like a jarring juxtaposition. Yeah, that sounds like a smart word, I'll use that. Because it's such like a cute and happy area, except it's completely abandoned, and even the Digimon that are here on arrival don't speak the same language as you, so you can't communicate. I'm not going to go into nearly as much detail with this one. However, I did think it was worth mentioning because it's a perfect example of what I was talking about with the whole island setting being part of what makes the game creepy. In that, where are all the Digimon? Why is it empty? Sometimes horror, to me anyway, is more about what isn't shown and the bits you have to put together yourself. And with Digimon World, Toy Town specifically, that's kind of what makes it scary. Also, I'll use it again because it'll make me feel very clever, but also the juxtaposition. Yeah, you like that. So, those were just a few of the places that I could have named to get across my point. More like key examples. There are other ones like Factory Town, Factorial Town, which is kind of like a steampunk area full of machine Digimon, who are like a mix between machine and flesh, which sounds really metal, but obviously it's still kind of a kids franchise, so it's not as disturbing as it could be, I suppose. Or the Ice Sanctuary, which is kind of like a big frozen church, which is super cool, but also can be quite ominous. However, I'm hoping that these already kind of made my point for me, because this was only ever meant to be a little video about my experience with finding this spooky, mostly as a kid. However, some of those feelings still remain, evidently. So, well, if you've made it this far, I'd like to thank you for sticking with my rambling. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I also want to give a big thanks to everyone who watched the last Digimon video. I made it out of pure passion, and it's really nice to have that validated with all the support, the likes, the comments, the new subs. You guys are the best. I really appreciate it. And with that said, it's now time to remind you guys, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, all that basic YouTuber stuff, because it really does help. It just tells me that you like this kind of content, which encourages me to make more, I suppose. And also, you can now sign up to be a member of the channel, which is £2 a month or 6p a day. Not all necessary, because the free stuff honestly matters way more, but that is an option if you would like to support financially. Additionally, if you'd like to leave any suggestions for stuff you'd like to see in future, please let me know. I'm open to suggestions. However, not necessarily going to get to all of them, or any of them. Really depends what I'm feeling. I know it's really unhelpful, but bear with me. And with that said, thank you for watching, and I hope to catch you next time. Bye bye.